What if your car could stay clean and damage free, even after muddy walks, beach days, and road trips with your dog? Welcome to The Dog Who Asked for More, the podcast helping dog parents who feel stuck and overwhelmed by their pup finally let go of the guilt, learn to communicate clearly, and build the bond you've always dreamed of through a partnership based approach that combines training, nutrition, and enrichment instead of chasing the quick fixes that don't actually work. I'm Em, and in this episode, you'll learn how four canines turned a DIY fix into a patent protection trusted by thousands of dog parents, the real difference between keeping clean and preventing damage, and how to choose covers that do both, and why durability matters more than bells and whistles when it comes to gear that actually lasts. Because the right travel gear doesn't just keep hair out of your car, it keeps your car safe from your dog. Joining us today is Jim Umlauf, the co-founder of Four Canines, the brand behind top-rated seat covers, cargo liners, and travel gear for dog owners. Jim, part of your origin story is that you and your wife made the first prototype out of necessity because your Dobermans completely destroyed your car. What was your aha moment that turned all of this into a business?
Just to give everybody a heads up, our first Doberman was a male. He was 120 pounds, and our female was 80 pounds. And I had a little four-door car. They would wrestle in the back seat, and it was a disaster. We tried blankets. We tried everything. We actually went to all the different stores to buy seat covers because we didn't know these were something we were going to need. So we got a whole bunch of different ones. We went to the actual car dealerships to try and get one there. None of them would stay in place. They were all thin. They were all very basic. And they just, every time they would move around back there, there's two big dogs in a little car, the cover would just move and they were almost worthless. And so that was our aha moment that it was like, we need something that will hold these in place and keep these where they need to be to protect the car. We were left to our own devices because we couldn't find anything that would do it. And we figured out how to make one. And from there, things just took off.
Want to create a space where we can find things and solve problems that I couldn't find resources for. So I love that you took the initiative to figure out your own problem and then provide a solution for other pet parents just like you. I have to know how deep the damage was because destroyed is a pretty big term. Tell me how crazy this damage was to your vehicle.
That's the thing that's really interesting, Em, is that if you look at the market now, just sort of in broader scope, everybody thinks you buy these to keep your car clean, which is definitely part of what you're doing. But when I created this cover, I created it to stop damage. There's two very different things. You can build one that'll keep your car clean, but trying to build one that prevents damage is a whole nother task entirely. Harry's is the big dog. His paw was about as big as my hand, and I'm big. What was happening is they were scratching the leather seats. They put a hole in the leather seat, not to mention all the dirt that was in there. And here's the thing. Repairing a leather seat is not easy. It's not something you can do yourself, and it costs a lot of money. And so that's what we designed the seat covers to do, is to protect the seat from the dog so we didn't have that happen anymore. If you get dirt back there, slobber, hair, you can vacuum, you can use some elbow grease, you can clean. When you have a hole in your leather seat, it's a whole different problem.
It absolutely is. The worst thing that I've ever seen, just in the history of all of my years of working with dogs, was we had a gentleman who brought a chow chow to the clinic and he left it in the car. The dog had anxiety and the dog literally ate a hole in the car. It was
Yeah.
a Cadillac and he just ate a hole in the middle of the seat. And I remember thinking, geez, maybe he could have done something to prevent that. But a lot of people don't think about that because, yes, they think about how can I keep this clean? And then they buy the products that you stated before. They rip open, they get full of hair. They're very thin material that stretch out or their claws go through and all that kind of stuff. And that doesn't really protect the seat very well. And sometimes you get dogs that their nails are long. They don't like to get their nails clipped. And then you have even more capability of the dog being able to rip stuff up, especially if they're walking around on your seats or if you're driving and they slide across the seats. It's really, really great that you thought about multiple factors when it came to how do we protect the car versus just how do we keep it clean.
We're very fortunate. When we first started, quite frankly, we didn't know what we didn't know. And we've figured it out along the way by constantly iterating to the covers, right? And that's one of our keys to success is, well, you started here, And we've been building on these covers, making them better year over year based on customer feedback, customer reviews. We take all that and we put it in the cover. We select better materials. We do things like UV protect the headrest straps so they don't disintegrate, because when we first started making them, we had problems with the headrest straps or the clips breaking. And so we've resolved all those problems after doing this for 12, 13 years, like we've been doing it. And we're very fortunate because we've had a customer base that has told us what they wanted, and we've built to it, and we've just constantly been improving over time. My brother has a pit mix, and he will not let anybody clip his nails. They just took him to the vet. They tried to sedate him. They tried everything. He won't let anybody trim his nails. And so we actually have video of him jumping in the car. And you can see the nails going into the cover, and the cover doesn't rip. And so we've used him sort of as a use case because his nails are wicked long.
Fitz is the same way. He hates to have his nails trimmed. So I need something that is durable because when he gets up in the car, I don't want him to scratch the seats. I don't want him to rip a hole in them. And until recently, until I got the Forerunner, we had fabric seats, which makes it even more precarious with those nails like that. I love that you think with that kind of stuff in mind, but also listen to the customer kind of feels like a mantra at 4K9s. How do you collect the feedback and turn it into new products or improved products?
Yeah, no, thanks. We've been really lucky. So one of the things that we did early on is every single review that we got, we read and we replied to, and we made modifications and notes based on what was in the reviews. And as we grew and got bigger, we have an email list where people can share stuff with us. We have our Facebook page, our Instagram page, all the different means of communication. We monitor that every single day. Our team monitors that. They collate all the information, they compile it down, and then we digest all that. And where there's a deficiency, we strive to make it better. One of the things that we always know, and having done this for so long, is that we're not always going to get it right. We're not perfect. We're not always going to get this right, but we sure try. And if you do have a problem, we have a fantastic customer service team that will take care of that problem. And we're going to do our best to solve it. And that's the other part of this. So it's not only just taking in the feedback and doing something with it, but it's also supporting it with the right level of customer service, which is huge for us. And what we've had, fortunate enough, is a great consumer base. And they've basically sent us messages and said, hey, I'd really like to be able to do this, or I'd really like to be able to do that. And that's what's led to all of our patents. Right. So customers wanted the ability to use the middle seatbelt. And it's not something we even thought of. Right. It wasn't even on our radar. And they said, hey, I would use this not only with my dog, but I use it with my kids, but I can't use the middle seatbelt because the cover covers it. And I was like, huh. So we started playing around with it, and we came up with a really cool patented solution to it that allows you to use the middle seatbelt, but it also allows you to use the armrest. It allows you to fold down a seat and basically use all the functions of your vehicle while keeping the cover in place, which makes your life easier. And we did that based on customers asking us to solve the problem. Our floor hammock product that we have was based on customers asking us the ability to have a cover that goes down the back of the front seats in a full-size truck. And they wanted their dog to be on the floor, because in full-size trucks, the seats fold up and they can sit on the floor, which is the most stable platform in the whole vehicle. And so we developed that. We developed our crew cab cover. All the different products that we're coming out with now are either products that we wanted because we needed them, or they're products that customers asked us for. And I think that's why we're still here 12 years later.
Yeah, I think so too. Tell me the wildest, weirdest, strangest piece of feedback or request you've ever got.
Oh my gosh, it's funny. We get these, geez, I'm trying to think of the most appropriate one that we can share. I mean, I've had crazy stories over the years. We build our covers as universal fit, and we do that for a specific reason. And it comes down to flexibility. We want you to have a product you can use in multiple different situations, whether you have one car and then you trade your car and you get a new car. And so everybody, at least from our customer base, appreciates the flexibility that we provide in all of our covers. But we have lots of customers that say they want all kinds of specific customized stuff for their cover. They want it to be able to split in half and then fold down one other part and then have something that goes onto the floor so it acts as a floor mat, and all wants to be modular, and they want it to be able to zip back together, all these different things. And I'm like, yeah, all that stuff sounds fantastic, but I can't solve all these problems with one product. Somebody wanted it to have an extension that would go down from the seat onto the floor and then up and connect to the hammock section if they wanted their dog to be able to go on the floor, but then zip back together if they didn't want their dog to be able to do that. And I mean, I've had wild customized suggestions with these covers over the years. And what we've realized is that durability and quality is our hallmark. And we're trying to make everything the way that everybody wants it. But we always default back to this needs to last and be durable enough. And we won't put components in there for some of these requests if we don't think the cover is going to last.
Which is wonderful because I don't want a product that is going to do 15 different things, but not protect against the main thing that I'm trying to protect, right? It's not any good if it's just going to rip apart and you start adding too many modifications and too many modular capabilities and you completely just ruin the structure of your product.
Yep. Yeah, we actually have a scenario now where because we have patents and we have protections, people are always trying to design around our patent. And they put all these bells and whistles and all these different things to try and get around our patents. And they build sort of Frankenstein's monster. And can they get to the functionality that we provide? Maybe. Are they doing it as simply and effectively as possible? No way. And they have all these different points where the cover fails and it breaks and they don't last. And it's because they've tried to engineer around our patent and build all this crazy stuff into the cover. And you lose the focus on what problem you're solving. And the problem you're solving is keeping your vehicle protected and clean. And when you start doing all this other stuff and you lose that North Star, you end up with problems.
Absolutely. And 4K9 seat covers are famous for that durability and the thoughtful features, just like you said, the split bench access, but also your non slip lining.
Yeah.
What goes into designing for real world use? What kind of process do you guys go through to make sure that these things are actually going to work?
So we actually test all of ourselves in real life conditions with our own dogs. We have two Dobermans now. Our first two have passed, but we have two now. They're both 80 pounds. They're big dogs. And we test them with the dogs all the time. What we do is anytime we build a product, we do some research. We try to identify what problem we're solving, and then we build the cover. And then we test and test and test and test. One of the things that we realized early on several years ago is that we're using real life quilting in our product. So they're stitched together. And we realized even though we waterproof them and all the other stuff, the quilting stitching would compromise the cover. And if there was a lot of fluid, whether urine or slobber or wet dog, sometimes it could seep through the cover. And it was a problem because obviously we want your seats to be as protected as possible. So what we developed is something called Canine Shield. And Canine Shield is a special laminate layer waterproofing that we put on the seat bottom and in the cargo area to prevent water from seeping through. So the top of the cover has a water repellent and a stain protecting on it. And then underneath, we quilt layers together. And then underneath that, we have one solid sheet layer called Canine Shield. One side is a film waterproof layer. So it's the same stuff that's used in human mattress pads. It's almost like saran wrap attached to a piece of fabric. And on the other side of that is our non-slip layer. So A, it keeps the cover from sliding on the seat. And B, it gives you a completely waterproof barrier underneath the cover. And that's something we learned over time. The first couple of covers that we made the first couple of years didn't have that feature, but now all of our products have Canine Shield in them because it's the best way to protect the seat.
When I feel it in mine, you can hear that like little crinkle, and like you're moving it around, you can hear it does sound like a mattress cover now that you said
Uh-huh.
that. That's really, really smart, especially like you said, because dogs they get slobbery, they get wet when they're at the beach or if you take them to the pool or whatever it is that you're out doing. But also sometimes dogs have accidents in cars and being able to remove that and protect the seats is really important. I also would like to touch on the one size fits all thing, right? I moved up from having a Hyundai Santa Fe to a Toyota 4Runner. And I was worried. I was like, this car is much bigger than the car that I had. I wonder if this thing is still going to fit in here. And it does. It fits just fine. You adjust the straps a little bit, but it covers the sides of the seats still. Granted, it went down like a little bit farther, obviously, in the Santa Fe because it didn't have as big of a bench, but now it still covers exactly everything that it needs to cover and it protects the seats. So I love that you guys think about those kinds of things and we don't have to go out into our car and measure it. What size do I need? Is this going to fit? Will it fit around the headrest? You make those things very easy and accessible for people who probably don't really know anything about their vehicle other than it's the vehicle that they drive. I would have no idea what size car cover to buy for my car if I had to measure it and figure it all out because Where exactly do you measure it? Does it start at the end of the seat? Does it start from door to door? Do you have to measure the depth of the footwells and all that kind of stuff? It can be really complicating, really frustrating, and really annoying. So I love that you make it flexible and easy for pet parents to just be like, oh, yep, this one size fits all. We'll just stick it in there and adjust a few things, and it works great.
Yeah, and we actually just launched on our website about a couple weeks ago a product finder quiz, which helps you actually walk through. Because one of the things that we have right now is we have probably the widest selection of different products available for the back of your car. So whether you want a seat extender, you want a hammock cover, you want a fitted cover, you want a crew cab seat cover, you want a hard bottom. We have all these different products now. And what we were finding is customers wanted an easier way to figure out which one would work best for them. And so now if you go to our website, it's called Find Your Perfect Fit. And there's a little quiz you can take. It takes less than 30 seconds. And it'll help you figure out which one will work best in your vehicle. It's really worked great. Customers are loving it. And the other thing, to your point, is not only is it easy to find one that will fit, but if you do change cars like you do, or maybe you have to put it in your partner's car, or maybe you have to put it in your friend's car, or maybe it's in a rental or something like that, these covers are going to fit and they actually look great in the vehicle because we've figured out after all these years what size really works and how to fit it into a vehicle and the different things to take into consideration about where the headrest straps go, where the seatbelt openings are, where the latch openings are, how big they should be, and everything like that to give you the most flexibility in the cover possible.
And they're easy to remove too. It's another thing. I put it in my car. It was very easy. And then as soon as I got a different car, I was like, oh, well, now I'm going to have to take this thing out and move it over there. And I put it in, I snapped the snaps, I adjusted them, and I was like, that was a lot easier
Yeah.
than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't tangled up in all different kinds of things. And you guys also have these, I don't know if they're intended to be weights. I'm assuming that's what they are on the back of
Yeah. The seat
the
anchors.
seat cover. Yeah, they're like the orange little things. And so when you put it on the seat, then it like actually holds it down on the seat versus just like slips around and moves around and all that kind of stuff. So even when you do have it in the bucket kind of look, it doesn't move around. And then when you take it down and you let it hang down to the floor all the way, it still doesn't move. And I love that because a lot of previous seat covers that I've had either wrap like all the way around the seat and, as we talked about before, are very thin and then they get punctured, or they don't really cover the seat well and these slip covers then just slide off, or there isn't anything to keep them on the seat. So then there's the dog is sliding around and the thing rips or it comes off the seat, and then you're not protecting anything from cleanliness or rips at all. So I love that functionality and that is there because it keeps it stable and sturdy on the seat, which is so important.
Yeah, and the other important point of that, and the reason we have those seat anchors is imagine if you happen to be driving without your dog and you want to roll the window down. The last thing you want is a big piece of fabric flapping in the wind in the back seat of the car, because if it starts flapping in the wind, if there is dog hair on there, you're now going to have dog hair everywhere, right? And so we needed to make sure that this thing was going to stay in place. And that's why we have those seat anchors in there.
I never thought about that because now I have a sunroof and the back window also rolls down in a 4Runner. So yeah, a lot more air comes through there. And no, it never flaps around because I guarantee I would have had feelings about that.
Yeah, you would have hair everywhere. So that's one of the things that we tested when we first built the cover, right? I put it in there and I just had it in the back and I was driving around one day. This thing's flapping in the wind back there. And I'm like, oh, that's a problem. So we solved that early on just because of our own product testing in-house.
It's my understanding that you have 20 product patents. Can you share one or two customer-led innovations that became real game changers for you guys?
Our split tech is all based on sort of that discussion we had earlier where somebody wanted to use the middle seat belt. And that really led to not only for the rear seats, but also for our cargo liners. Our cargo liners have split tech in them. So you can fold the seats down, you can fold the center armrest down if your vehicle has that capability. And what we learned from that initial set, and we got patents on all that, was that not only do we want to make something that protects the vehicle, but we want to make something that is easy for you to use. You want to be able to fold down your seats, so you should be able to do that. You want to be able to fold your seats up in a crew cab seat or in a crew cab truck, and the seats fold up in the back in a 60-40 fashion. You want to be able to do all that. So as we've grown as a company, we've not only incorporated in high quality construction materials, but also the ability to use all the functions of your vehicle while keeping these things in place. And that's not something initially we had even considered. And so now our floor hammock product is something that customers asked us for that we have patents on. Our crew cab seat cover has multiple patents on our crew cab seat cover for full size trucks. We have these new door guards that we just started building that are patent pending right now. One of the problems with door guards is they would flap in the wind. And we have a new connection on these door guards that will keep them connected in multiple points. You can actually take a leaf blower and blow it at the cover and it won't blow off the door. We're basically trying to not only provide great products, great construction, great materials, but ease of use for you. We want to make your life easier. And that's ultimately what we put into all this now.
That's incredible. I have to say, my favorite product is the back seat storage. I don't know what you guys call that, but I love it. It connects around the headrest and then it hooks to the little rails underneath the seat. So it doesn't move. It doesn't flap around. I can still hook the seat cover over it so that it's covered up and it doesn't, the dog can't get into it or whatever. But the storage in there, I mean, poop bags, extra water bowls, kibble, I can put anything I want in there. I can even fit my nail trimmers in there. It's great. I love it. It's probably my favorite product, but my favorite thing about it is that it doesn't move. It stays right there and it's protected by the seat cover, just like the rest of the car is. And it just gives me that extra ability to store things in my car that I wouldn't have had room for without putting some kind of bag or tote or something for my dogs in there. And it even saves space because it's right on the back of the seat and it's completely flat. I absolutely love that thing.
Thank you. Yeah, that's actually new for us. And you know what's interesting is that we call it a seat back organizer or kick shield. We brought that to market because when we started For Canines, we only had dogs, and now we have two 9-year-old twin daughters. And so not only were the dogs making a mess, but they were kicking up the mess in the car pretty quickly. There was stuff everywhere. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way for them to have all their knick-knacky things and all the other stuff they want to have in the car. And so we built that. And I was like, this is great because it can act like a kick shield for their feet. So I'm not cleaning feet off the back of my seat. I can store all the dog stuff in there from poop bags to we always have an extra leash in the car. So I can put that in there and the kids can hang their water bottle on it and they can put all their stuff in there and it just contains the mess in the vehicle and makes things so much easier for us. And that's why we actually brought it to market. And it works great for just straight dog owners, for people with kids, for anybody, because it puts everything in arm's reach, whether you put on the passenger side and you just have to reach over, or whether you open up the back door and you have one behind your seat. We have them in both of our vehicles and we love them. The kids love them and they've been working out fantastic. So we're happy we brought those to market, but they're brand new for us and they're selling great.
I love it. And I didn't even think about how well that would work with kids too. You could stick their snacks and their extra little toys, that there's even room for them to stick their phone or, like you said, water bottles in there. That's great because when you can combine, especially for families that have children and dogs and they're toting everybody around, anything that you can do to make all of that easier just on everyone is so important and so much more helpful, I guess is the word that I'm looking for everyone, because you are minimizing the clutter. I cannot stand clutter. It drives me insane. So if I can compartmentalize all of it, that's even better for me. That's, one of the things thinking about like the RV journey. Yeah, we'll have extra stuff in the RV, but being able to have that stuff accessible, an extra leash, poop bags, water dish, things like that for when we stop at rest stops or if we're at a gas station or things like that, just having it right there so it's quick and easy to grab and not have to think about it. It eases the mind and it helps out in situations where maybe your other leash breaks or you're don't have a way to feed your dog because you're out in the middle of nowhere and it's just right there. So whether you have an RV behind you or not, you can have room for all of those little things without having to carry a backpack on top of it to just take all of your dog's gear with you. So I think that's really awesome that you think about
Thank you.
what will ease people's minds.
Yeah. Convenience. It's a plus. I mean, if we can build something strong and make your life easier, then it's a win-win all around.
And on top of that, a lot of brands hide behind bots, but you guys have a really high priority on high touch customer service. How do you think that shapes customer loyalty and feedback loops?
For us, it's been critical. I remember being on vacation and we were skiing and somebody called right in the middle of the slope and I stopped to take a phone call right in the middle of the slope when we were brand new. For us, it's been the most important thing: quality products and better customer service. We have USA based customer support. We have somebody on the East Coast, somebody on the West Coast, so that we have somebody for the different time zones. And you always have the ability to call in and talk to a person to get your questions answered. That's not something we are ever going to take away. In a day and age now where there's a lot of companies, you can never talk to anybody, it's only email or it's only chat bot. We strongly believe having good qualified people that can take a phone call and do a great job solving your problem. Because like I said earlier, we know we don't always get it right. I mean, it's impossible to be perfect, but we strive, if there is a problem, to do our best to solve it and to do it as fast as possible. So I can't tell you, we have tons of reviews on the website that are all about my customer service team and what a great job they do. It's one of the points of pride for us outside of just producing great products. But having a great business means supporting your customer, and supporting your customer means they can get support when they need it.
Absolutely. And not only do you provide really incredible customer service, your seat covers are built to last and they come with a lifetime warranty. So, how do you uphold that promise?
Depending upon how long you've had our cover, we've had people call us 7 years later and say it finally broke. And they're actually surprised. And sometimes they actually feel kind of guilty because they know they got more than the use they expected out of the product. But we stand behind that, right? Now, if you do something silly, honestly, and you install it wrong or your dog eats it or something bad happens, that's not necessarily covered by the warranty. But if that even happens, we go out of our way to make it right, and we'll do something for you. That's what we believe in. We lifetime warranty these against manufacturing defects and any problems that's in there, because we know that our craftsmanship is so good and the materials we use are so good. We've gone through 3 different kinds of clips on these covers to find the perfect one that doesn't break and lasts a long time. All these different things that we can do to make sure that you're satisfied with the product. The customer service team and having them in place to be able to support you is a critical component of what we do. And we're very proud of it, actually. Very proud of our customer service.
You should be. Customer service is so important and it is lacking so much in many industries, but especially the pet industry, because it really is difficult to get somebody on the phone that will help you in any way, shape, or form, but also that actually knows something about the product, knows how
Yeah.
the product should be used, knows how to install the product, all that kind of stuff. I spoke to another guest a while back about she was doing something for her podcast and she was calling around asking random questions about shock collars. And she called a bunch of different companies who sell shock collars, and the answers that she were getting were completely varied and vast. And with a product like that, you need to know how it works. You can't just put some random person on the phone and say, "Yeah, my 5-year-old kid can use this," to the person that's asking the questions, when in fact they've never actually used one and don't know how it works. It's the same thing with seat covers. You have to have some knowledge of the materials, how it's installed, how to clean it. All of those things is so important because you do provide a warranty and you want people using it properly. And if you don't have the customer service to support that, you're going to be having a lot more complaints.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky because one of our customer service representatives, she's actually the director of customer experience for us here. She's been with us for 9 years, maybe 10 years at this point. So she's been with us just about the entire time. She gives us suggestions. She does the research. She talks to all the customers. She compiles all that information for us. And she's been with us almost since the get-go. One interesting thing that you started talking about there, Em, is if you were to go on Amazon or you to go on websites and you were to look at just the pictures of how these covers work, they might all look the same. The problem is, just because they look the same doesn't mean they're going to perform the same. And when you talk to Jen or you talk to anybody on our team, that's one of the things they can help you figure out really quickly. Just because they may look like this or they may look like that doesn't mean they're going to work the same. And they can explain to you why. And they know the benefit that goes into these design things. We made the zippers go in one certain direction versus the other direction. And there's a reason behind all these different design elements we have in there that you can't get from a picture. So being able to talk to somebody to explain all that to you is, I mean, it's invaluable.
It really is. It really is. You said that about the zippers, and that is interesting because I did notice that they do go a certain direction, and they're very easy to use. They don't ever get stuck. That's something that I find a lot with linings. If the zipper lining is too close to the lining of the fabric, then they get stuck and they catch, and then the zippers rip and all that stuff. And I haven't had any of those issues with your zippers. So I imagine that there's probably some engineering that goes into that whole thing as well.
100%. On our rear seat covers, the zippers go in one direction, and our cargo liner, they go the other direction. And it's all based on how the cover is used and how you're going to manipulate the cover and making it as easy as possible for you. We have a lot of customers that are elderly. And so manipulating the covers on some of these products, when you have these small zippers and you have to put them together and they're in a weird spot, we've solved all that by just easily changing the direction of the zipper. So it's easier to put together, it's easier to zip it, and our rear seat covers, the zipper zip down. So it does two things. One, you never have to worry about that zipper falling and the cover opening up. You start the zipper at the top and you pull the zipper towards the bottom. But the other thing is, when you're going to zipper the cover back up, it's so much easier for you at the top of the cover to manipulate that zipper and put the ends together versus trying to do it down in the seam at the bottom of the cover. Right? It's little things like that. For the seat back organizer that we were just talking about, there's a zipper on that. And we had put the zipper on and we're using it for a while. And I'm in the car and noises drive me crazy. And I'm like, what is that jingling noise? It's driving me nuts. Like, what is that? And my daughter was like, it's the zipper. And I'm like, what zipper? She's like, it's a zipper on the organizer. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And she's like, no, the zipper's jingling around and you're hearing the zipper jingle around. And I was like, huh. So now the zipper doesn't jingle because it's one of the locking zippers. So it locks shut. And it does that specifically because I don't want anybody to hear jingling. So it's all these little things that go into making these covers. I was having this discussion with somebody the other day. We've done this for 12 years. This is what we do. I like engineering covers. We think about all these little things that people don't normally think of. And when we look at competitive covers, you can tell that they're just copying what's out there. They're just copying it. They're not building it because they understand it. They're copying what's out there to try and sell something competitive, but they don't know the why behind all the little things. And so they change some of these aspects of the covers. They don't use the zipper that locks shut. They put the zipper in the other direction. And it's because they don't know. They're just sellers from overseas that are trying to make a buck, and they're building these products without the why behind them. There's a big difference between knowledge and wisdom, is something I tell my kids all the time. You can get knowledge from ChatGPT, you can get it from copying somebody's product, but you don't have the wisdom that goes behind building it. And that's where we've been very fortunate, is we have all this knowledge and experience that we're putting in these products. The considerations about why we build these is very different than just somebody off the shelf deciding they want to make one of these one day.
I love that. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom because it's so true. I have a lot of knowledge that I can share with everyone, but the wisdom is my experience behind it. That's really neat. I love that you made it that deep because it's seat covers, but it's important.
Yeah, if you're going to do it right. You know what I mean? My friends would be like, you have patents on seat covers? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, we got a lot of them. And they're like, how do you even do that? And I'm like, well, it's just because it's not your thing, right? That's how deep we get into these things, to the point where they are that differentiated that you can get a patent out of it. And it's made a huge difference for us.
When you're obsessed about what you do, it makes a difference. It does
Yep.
make a difference. Speaking of being different and being obsessed about what you do, you guys are based in Oklahoma, but you import a lot of materials. How are tariffs affecting your business, and what are your strategies that you're leaning into to stay afloat in this economic change?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a challenge. I mean, it's been a challenge ever since 2018, 19, when initial round of tariffs went in place. We designed our whole business around a model where tariffs were considerably less than they are. And then we got hit 2018, 19. And now obviously it's a lot higher. We manufacture in China, and a lot of people don't like that. But I can tell you that 90% of the synthetic textiles and materials that go into making our cover come from China. Even though we've tried to make it in the US, we've tried to make it in Mexico, we tried to make it in all these different places, they're importing all the raw materials from China because that's the only place they're made. We've elected to stay in China because the level of manufacturing we've gotten, we've used the same supplier for 13 years. And we have a great relationship with them. They build great products for us. But these tariffs have been a challenge. So what have we done? We have modified some of our packaging to try and help with packaging. But what we're not doing is modifying the product. And right now, what I'm seeing as I do comparator tests versus the competition is shrinkflation in the products. The clips are getting smaller. The straps are getting smaller. The materials that they're putting into these products are changing as these tariffs go in place. And that's what a lot of folks are having to do right now is they're changing the quality of the product to try and survive the tariff situation. And it's really sad to see, but it's the reality. We have elected not to change any of the components that we've used over the 13 years. We've used the same materials over time that we've upgraded when we learned our lesson. So the 600D material we build our covers out of, we've used for 10 of the 13 years. The heavy duty straps, the clips, everything like that, we've used for multiple years, and we will not change those because that would ruin the quality of the product. And that's just not something we're willing to do. So we've tried to find different shipping options. We've tried to work with our manufacturing team to lower some of our costs. We've tried to order in bulk in some instances to save money by ordering bulk. We've tried to ship at different time periods and in different ways, but we've done everything that we can possibly do to try and mitigate the impact without reducing the quality of the product. And ultimately, what it really means is we're losing some profitability along the way. We're hopeful that the tariff thing will resolve itself over time and maybe we'll get down to a better tariff level, but we have not compromised the quality of the product or the materials that go into it because we just don't believe in that.
That's super important, especially when you have a product that you give a lifetime warranty on.
Yeah.
If you change the components to be less than what they are right now, you're just going to be replacing more and more and more. And how does that cost benefit weigh out? You're probably going to be spending more money doing that because you're going to be replacing more covers because you compromised on components and then they get a new one and that one breaks and now you're replacing that one. I think that not compromising on those pieces of your product is really, really important. And that really says something about you as a brand, that quality is that important to you.
Thank you. Brand reputation is everything for us. We can make mistakes, but if you keep making mistakes over and over again, you take shortcuts, then your brand reputation is something that goes away. And it's hard to survive that. And that's just not something we're willing to do. So we're
Yeah.
figuring it out and we're hopeful that things will get better. But in the meantime, we're still continuing to produce the same product we've always produced.
So you've been around for 13 years.
Hmm.
And we hope that you're around for many more.
Me too.
As your brand grows, how do you plan to continue innovating while staying true to your customer first roots?
What we've noticed over time is the demand is changing and we're always trying to keep up with what customers are looking for. So our hard bottom seat extender now is a new product that came to market where there's a hard panel on the bottom that cantilevers out over the seat to give your dog more room. That's not something that we had ever thought of before. It wasn't around. And so we've now taken that and adapted it to our version of a hard bottom seat extender as they've become popular. We came out with the seat organizer, which is something we never thought of before. And the other thing that we just released is a dog car seat, a little bucket seat for smaller dogs. And we always had big dogs. And so we always catered to mid to large size dogs. And my sister has a little chihuahua. She's in all the pictures. And we needed something for her. And there's basically so many different directions we can go based on just finding new opportunities in the marketplace and trying to solve problems for customers to make things better. And that's really what we do is we say, all right, well, what are we interested in doing? What are customers looking for? And how do we make it even better and raise the expectations? That's what we're trying to do. We've expanded out from travel products as some of our dogs had different needs. Like one of our dogs had dilated cardiomyopathy and she was on medicines that made her incontinent. So that's how we came out with our dog bed liners and our dog bed covers. Just as you have more experiences and you meet new people and your customer base gets bigger and they ask you new questions, there's always opportunity for us to create new stuff. We had a customer just ask us the other day for some swag items. And so now we have all these really cool t-shirts now that we're starting to offer on the website that have all these great sayings, something we've never done. Having great customers is what helps us figure out what to build.
I love that. I love that you have swag. That's super fun. And I love that you guys are so focused on comfort and quality. You guys sent me one of your blankets, and I think that's probably the best blanket I have ever had. It washes easily. It is very, very soft. It's comfortable. It's warm. And my dogs absolutely love it. I love it. And it's big enough that we can all use it too. I can put it in the car for comfort, but also I can bring it in the house and we can use it to cover up the couch and keep the fur off of the couch. It's a nice product as well. You have a lot of nice products. Out of all of your products, what is your favorite?
I think our crew cab seat cover, I have a full size truck and it's something I use every day. It's one of the products I'm most proud of because it took a long time to develop it. We actually now sell that product to lots of different automotive OEMs OEMs like Ford, etc. And it's because it's so differentiated. That is probably one of my favorite products. And the other one, believe it or not, it's kind of silly, but is our leash. We have a slip lead, and I've always liked slip leads because when we're in the house, the dogs don't always have a collar on. And sometimes I just want to take them for a quick walk, and it's just so easy to throw a slip lead on them. But all the ones I had in the past had this really crappy little leather thing on there. You had to slide to adjust it, and it just never worked very well. And so we just came out with a metal toggle on ours, and it's so easy just to put over their head, slide the toggle up, and then you can go for a walk or do whatever you want. And so that's one of my other favorite products. It's not our most popular product, but we sure use it a lot here in the house.
I have had slip leads over the years and they fall apart. That little leather piece always breaks. It gets stiff, it falls apart, it frays, and then it slides through the lead
Yeah.
and it doesn't work at all. So that's really interesting. I don't have your slip lead, so I'll have to
Well,
look
we'll get you
into it.
some.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
we'll get you some.
definitely something that I recommend to my training clients when we're first learning leash skills and stuff. We go through a lot of different products. Does the harness work better? Does the slip lead work
Yeah.
better? I don't use choke collars or prong collars. So a slip lead is a good alternative to those things. And so I like to be able to recommend a good, strong slip lead. So now I know that I have one to recommend. So
Yeah.
that's
Thank
wonderful.
you. Yeah. We love it. It's nice because it's got the metal thing. So you can get it as high up on their neck as you want with a little metal thing, and it'll hold it in place versus that leather thing just never really worked for
Yeah.
me. So that's kind of what we do is we look at it and we say, how can we do this better? And that's what we endeavor to do.
I love that. And I feel like this is probably going to be the same answer that you give for the next question.
All
But
right.
what advice would you give to a pet parent or dog pro looking to create products that solve real problems?
On doing your research, ask yourself this, and I tell this to my kids, I tell everybody, what is the problem you're really trying to solve? Because you think it may be one thing, and you could actually be solving a completely separate problem. So, what are you really trying to solve? Do some research, and then try to figure out what you don't know that you don't know. We started building these covers with a lot of things we didn't even know, we didn't even consider, like access to the middle seatbelt, etc. So, take some time to try and really understand what are all the different aspects of things, and then go about solving the problem. And don't just do what everybody else is doing. I mean, there's too many other people out there doing that. You can copycat all day long, but I don't think that that is a recipe for long term success. Try to provide value. If I had to summarize it all up, it'd probably just be make sure you're providing value and high level value if you can. And if you can do that, you're going to be in good shape.
I absolutely agree. You pretty much touched on everything that I would say in the same place. Do your research, figure out what you don't know, because I always tell people you don't know what you don't know. And it takes a lot of trial and error to figure those things out. And being curious and really diving in there to figure out what your why is so important, and providing value. That's what we try to do here on this show, is provide solutions and provide value so that people know that this is a great place to come to and find businesses and brands and other trainers and whatnot to work with so that they have the right solutions for their dogs. With all of this in mind, what would you like to leave our listeners with this evening?
First off, just want to thank you for the opportunity of being on the show. And the one thing that I would just sort of ask everybody to do is do your own research before you buy a product. Take the extra 5 minutes and really try to figure out what you're getting before you get it. There's so many different options out there right now. The other day, I went and I bought a squeaky ball for my dog, and I took it out and it smelled like oil and gasoline. And I was like, how does this happen? And what I'm seeing is it's happening more and more, especially with the tariffs in place right now as people are cutting corners. And so do the extra 5 or 10 minutes, research something, make sure you're getting something that's good quality, because if you're going to spend your hard earned money, make sure you're getting a good return on your investment. And really, it only takes 5 or 10 more minutes. It's just like doing just a little bit more, and you can end up with a much better solution.
That's a really powerful statement. I think that's something that we tread on a lot here on this podcast in so many different ways. So again, thank you so much, Jim, for taking the time to be here with me today and have this conversation. And remember, be kind, spread joy, and do your research, whether it's for the dog that you're getting or the product that you're getting for your dog, because it will make the biggest difference. If you've been feeling like no one really understands what you're going through with your dog, it can feel really isolating and heavy carrying all that weight by yourself day after day. That's why I created a free community, a safe space where you can share the hard stuff, get support, and be surrounded by people who truly get it. You'll find the link in the show notes. Thanks for listening to The Dog Who Asked for More. New episodes drop every Monday and Wednesday. I'll see you next time.